Well, welcome back. Now, I'm Ted Thomas, and for the last 30 years, I've been involved in teaching a category of real estate that I call an alternative category to real estate. It's called tax liens and tax deeds. Now, this is a little known part of the real estate industry, but it's been around and it's been government managed for over 200 years. So, I think you'll find this interesting. But the question that's in front of us today is, how should I invest $5,000? So I'll try to answer your question and give you some solutions to doing that. Now, the upside potential of making money with tax liens and deeds is pretty high, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes. But let's talk about what are we going to do with $5,000? So I'm trying to answer that question, where to invest it. So you'll have to think about that a little bit. Now, $5,000 today is not a lot of money. When I say it's not a lot of money, it's enough to maybe make a down payment on a car. Some people use that as a down payment on a house if they could. But the point is, $5,000 isn't a lot of money. So I would say before I determined what I was going to spend the money on, is I'd kind of think about it a little bit. Now, what would I think about? Well, I'd start thinking about how I'm going to make it grow, because the key is to think out what you want to do. So thoughts and ideas are really things. And if you can think of something, and you're going to be able to achieve it. But, if you can't think about what it is you want for the future, that's going to be tough for you, because when you go to the schools today, they're teaching you how to work for somebody else and do what you're told. Well, nothing wrong with that. However, if you really want to give it a little bit more thought, and you'll be able to achieve much higher goals. So try to think of what you're going to do. Now, a couple of good examples are in the newspaper every day or on the television every day. And what is that? Well, we talk about Tesla and Musk, and we talk about Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Well, where did they start? Well, they both started with first the thought of what they wanted to achieve. So if you want to achieve something, you have to conceive it first. So conceive it in your mind, what you want. So Bezos is trying to build bookstores. I mean, he wasn't trying to build them. He was trying to put them out of business. And what he did, he had to think about, here's this dusty old bookstore selling books one at a time. He came up with electronic ways to do it, and he sells more in a day than they did in a year. So you get the idea. He thought it out. So he couldn't achieve it until he conceived it. So you have to start thinking, what are you going to do with this $5,000? All right, so what about Musk? What did he think about? This guy's thinking about going to the moon, for goodness sake. He's thinking about spacecraft, all that. He's thinking about the Tesla car. All right, the point is, you've got to think about it, so you have to conceive the idea before you can achieve it. Now, how's that going to get done? It's going to be a way that you got to do it. These guys are intelligent people, and they're creating the steps before they spend the money. Every one of you can do the same thing. So my point is, ultimately, you want to make a viable business. You want to make something that you can make money again and again and again. So if you watch late night television, they're going to show you how you buy real estate with nothing down. I'm not sure that that's the best way to do it. Why? Because what are you going to do to sustain that real estate? You might buy it. Are you going to be able to sustain it? Is it going to pay for itself? Is it going to generate enough money so you can grow to do the next one? The point is, putting the $5,000 somewhere, you better put it somewhere where it's going to grow and grow multiples of the $5,000. A lot of people make that investment, and then it won't grow, and then they're going to struggle and work hard for years and years to make it work. Zero down real estate sounds good. It appeals to a lot of people, but is it sustainable? Well, it's not always sustainable. All right, so what happens? Unfortunately, the school system is the school system. It's teaching people to work for someone else, do what they're told, get the job done, work 40 hours a week. That's okay. But if you're 50 years old, it probably isn't okay anymore, because you've now learned you work for somebody else, you don't have a lot of money left. So let's start thinking a little bit more like Bezos and a little bit more like Musk. They're thinking about the steps to building the future. They're thinking about steps to building. Now, most people don't think about the steps, and if they don't think about the steps, where are they going to be? They're going to be 50 years old and wondering what they're going to do, and are asking the question. I'm surprised at how many people ask the question, what should they do with $5,000? Well, that's not much of a start. Believe me, $5,000 is enough to get a down payment on a car. You're going to have more thought than that if you want to have income. All right, so what do I do? Well, I figured out some parts of the real estate business that were sitting there that were where anybody could make money if they wanted to. But the problem was nobody knew about them. So if you start researching some of these unusual things, you could find out maybe a $5,000 investment could turn into $30,000 in profit. Well, now that gets everybody's attention. So that's what you want. You want to say, Ted, show me how to take $5,000 and make it into a lot more than that. And I will do that before I finish. But the key for you is to think about all the steps of getting where you want to go, not so much as just go to a hotel seminar or watch television, invest $5,000, think you're going to be rich. I doubt if that's going to happen. I doubt if it'll happen because most people fail. Now, you're not going to fail if you've thought the process out all the way through, and that's the key to it. So do you want to go fix up houses like you see the girl in the pink helmet? Yes. That's a great business if you want to work with your hands and work and work and work, and at the end of the year not have very much money. All right, you want to go to seminars? No, you don't want to do that. You want to go to auctions? Yes, maybe you do want to do that. So thousands of people are purchasing property, but they haven't thought out what they're going to do with it. So let's give that a little bit more thought. So let's not just think about the theory of getting something done. Bezos had the idea, take the bookstores and transform them. Musk had the idea, let's make an electric car. But he didn't just say, let's do it, and it was going to happen. He had to think about all the steps. And that's the key, is thinking about the steps. So find some experts. Start talking to people that are making $5,000 into $30,000 or making $50,000 into $500,000. You need to start thinking in steps like that. All right, long-term success means you have to make long-term big profits. You can't make $5,000 and expect it's going to take you anywhere. The 5,000 has to be multiplied and multiplied many, many times. And it has to be enough money to sustain the down markets and the up markets, because the markets change and they're not always the same. So these guys survived. How did they survive? Because they made enough money to be able to get through the down times. All right, so you can see him in both situations here. You look on the left, he doesn't look too happy, but then the right, they're happy. Why? Well, when they're making money, you're always going to be happy. All right, so let me give you some alternative things that you can think about that certainly have worked for me. They'll work for you. They'll work for anybody that wants to try it. So I'll give you some student examples rather than say, look, I'm showing you my muscle, how strong I am. But I'll show you some students and what they've done. And once you see this and understand it, now, this is an alternative investment. I got involved in tax liens and tax deeds about 30 years ago. And when I learned about it, I could see what the profit potential was. If I could buy for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, and then I could sell for 75 cents on the dollar, I had a huge margin. Everybody else was trying to get a discount. Well, the discounts I was getting was 70%, 80%. That's a lot of discount. When you had that kind of discount, that left a lot of room. So I'm going to show you a picture of property next. Now, because this guy learned what to do with the money, he didn't even invest the $5,000. He invested $300. So once you know that the county is going to have these properties for sale, your $5,000 is suddenly valuable, because here's what he has. He has $5,000 like you have. He wants to know what to do with it. So he finds this property on the auction list, which I showed him. Look at the auction list. All right, so he looked at it, then he drove by and looked at the property. Then the next thing he did is he went to the auction. When he got there was nobody there. So as you can see from the slide, he spent $316 for this house. So what did he do with it? Well, he called me and said what to do. I said, just go ahead and sell it. He didn't want to sell it, so he rented the property, and he rented it for over $500 a month. So he's renting it for more a month than he paid for it. Okay, that's multiplying the money. That's taking the $5,000 and thinking about, what are you trying to achieve? Well, you got to conceive what you're going to do first. So he conceived that he would buy it for that and he could rent it for much more. So you get the system. So that works. All right, so what did he do to that property? Well, he looked at many public notices and he learned that it was available. He went and looked at it, found out a little bit about it, went to the auction. It was just a little small place, spent $300. All right, that's as much you're going to spend for a Thanksgiving dinner, for goodness sake. So now he had a very small investment. He's going to rent it out. He's going to get monthly payments. All right, so he's happy with what he's done. Did he spend a lot of money? A little touch-up of paint and clean it up? That's all he did? All right, so is every deal small like that? No, every deal isn't small. What if you don't have any money at all? Well, some people say, I don't have any money. Well, do you have credit cards? Well, keep them paid, because all deals don't have to be small. So this client just followed my instruction, and what did he do? He took his credit card and headed down to the auction. and he bought a property at auction for $6,000. But the property was a little used and a little abused. It was worth more than $50,000. So now what is he going to do with that? Well, he's going to do the same thing. He's either going to rent it or he's going to sell it. But he bought it for $6,000. So he's paid $6,000 on his credit card. So he kept his money. This is a good example of what happened. You said, what are you going to do with $5,000? Let's see what he's going to do with $6,000 on the credit card. He buys the property. All right. Now there's dozens, literally thousands of credit challenged people in the world. Why are they credit challenged? They got a divorce. They didn't make their payments. They had a foreclosure. They had a bankruptcy. I don't know what happened to them, but they haven't managed their credit. So that means the banks reject them. Well, guess what? You could sell to those people and let them pay you. Now you don't have to give them the title to the property. You could sell and let them make payment. So that's exactly what he did. So he got a down payment of $6,000 that paid off the credit card. Now he's going to get $350 a month for 10 years. $350 a month for 10 years, that adds up to a lot of money. So you just figure it out. It's $42,000. So here it is on your screen. Okay, he's collecting $350 a month for 10 years on a $6,000 investment. But he's already got his investment back because they had to make a down payment. So if we add the down payment back into the $42,000, what are we going to end up with? He's going to have $48,000 profit on a $6,000 investment. All right, so the process is what you can conceive, you can achieve. So the $5,000 that you're talking about investment, that's important, yes. However, what's more important is to learn how you can make the money expand. That's more important than having the $5,000, because once you can conceive it, you can start achieving things. All right, now I'm going to finish up right now, and as I finish, below me is a free gift that you can just opt in as soon as you finish. You can get a free gift, which I'll send to you, give you a lot more good information. Okay, I want to give you 2 cautions before I go. They both have to do with the auction. Number 1, when you go to the auction, don't buy anything that you haven't seen. If you haven't had boots on the ground or someone look at it that you know and you can trust, don't buy it, because maybe there was a hurricane, maybe there was a flood, maybe there was a fire. Those are all things that could happen. All right. Additionally, the other big mistake number 2, is what? What is that mistake? Well, that simply is this. People get into bidding wars. They start bidding, trying to win the auction. You don't want to win the auction. What you want to do is know what your exit strategy is. What are you going to sell it for before you buy it? That will stop you from bidding. Because if you know you can only sell it for $50,000, you're certainly not going to start bidding up to $45,000 and $50,000. You're going to stop way lower than that, so you have margin to make money. My name is Ted Thomas. Go below me right now.